let's see. In this week's episode, I know what to say when we do our open. Looks like we're good.
Yep.
We're good. Excellent. Hello. It's 2023, and we're just going to talk about, how to make this year great.
And basically just not suck.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. Oh, welcome back to another episode of the Counterculture Podcast. We have returned after our
sabbatical.
Little sabbatical, a hiatus, right? I'm your host, Christian, along with my great friend, co-host, Taylor. And, typically, people that would take this more seriously would have had preparation a few days coming into their new episode. But, we did not because life. I don't know. We just didn't.
Yeah,
so,
it's like, how do you put it? It's like I'm still on vacation mode, and I've been back to work for a week. So
yeah, and I just life's been busy. So as far as live, we'll probably maybe have 1-2 people watching, but I just don't care. I just simply don't care because life is life. But we're gonna be back on our regularly scheduled programming. Well, sort of. You're going to California next week, so.
Yeah. So you get one, and then a little break. It's just like a tease, like a soft landing.
Yeah, I mean, we can, I'll think of something. Again, I have an idea for another episode. I kind of talked to you about, right? It was actually an idea Christina gave me, but I think for the episode when we come back, probably I'm thinking like, maybe a guest. Right, to start the year after this.
Could be cool.
That's a good idea. I got to message Carla. Anyway,
I feel like it's been a minute since we had a guest on.
Yeah, it has been, and we need a great one. I mean, we had a great one to start the year last year, right, with Gomer, right, for my former youth minister, right, and now just friend. That was a lot of fun. It was a good way to break into it, right. And I think Carla would be a good one to really bring the new year.
Yeah, we got to figure out the rest of that story, or at least I do.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more we want to talk about. I know she said she wanted to go a little bit more political, just because she doesn't usually talk about it as much. So I know that's what she wants. So anyway, I need to message Carla this week about that. But before we get too much into today's episode, which is going to be really, again, we're starting the year, right? And a lot of people, at the beginning of the year, it's like new year, new me, all this kind of stuff. Right, and when we were talking, I think it'd be better to, have a more lighthearted episode, just talking about ways to get your year off to the right start, and just different things, just practical things, right? I mean, we could talk about, before we went live, we were talking about the silliness going on in Congress, right? Kevin McCarthy can't become Speaker of the House, right? They're on like vote number 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever. Matt Gaetz is trolling them, voting for Donald Trump as Speaker of the House, right? It's just a mess, right? And the rest of the world. Everything else, you got, eggs are $8 for a dozen now, and Ukraine, and just the world's on fire, so we can always get back to that, as what is it, Billy Joel? We didn't start the fire, it's always been burning since the world's been turning.
I personally like Uptown Girl, so
that is a great song. So yeah, so we're just gonna, that's what we're gonna do today. It's gonna be a lot more fun, I think, lighthearted, that kind of stuff. So. Again, before we get into it, make sure you like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell down below. Share the show with your friends. You can find us at the Counterculture Cast on Instagram. You can find us on at Countercult Cast on Twitter. All right, because we're a little bit more active there because it's actually kind of fun now. And then you can go to Teesprings or Springs. I can't remember what it's called, but it's, you can go there.
Yeah, it's like they changed it or whatever.
Yeah, you can go there. We have some merch on there, right? If you want to check out some of our shirts, whatever, to support us as well, we really appreciate that. So yeah, man. I mean, first is, like you said, you took some time off, right, yourself. So for you guys, how was your holiday, Christmas holiday time?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Definitely needed some time off. And with my type of job, it's really hard to walk away and just completely shut off because it never stops.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was nice. I mean, as good as it can be. I mean, you kind of know what you're coming back to, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Good. Yeah.
You?
Yeah. It was good. I mean, I was originally going to take that week of Christmas off because I have a problem. I did not. But it ended up being okay. I work from home now 100%. So, it was really okay. I leave the office and I'm in my house.
It's like you were still present.
Yeah. So, it was good. Like I said, it was definitely more laid back still. It was a good amount of time. And, and I think this happens with, or I hope this happens with a lot of people, but during this time of the year, right, I think, there's a lot of reflection because you're coming to the end of a year, right, the start of a new year. And so I know I spent a lot of time just reflecting on a lot of things.
We are opposites because see, you're the New Year's resolution guy and I'm like I don't start on one particular. If I need to make a life change, I do it kind of.
Yeah. Well, actually I'm very much a component of don't do the whole New Year's resolution thing.
My wife always does it.
Because I think it sets you up for failure. But again, with what we're going to talk about today, I think it's a different way to go about it, where maybe puts you in a position to better accomplish the things you want to. But again, it's not as much me being a New Year's resolution guy. It's more of like just taking the time to reflect on the year that's happened. What were the good things? What were things that you wanted to do and maybe didn't do? What were some things that maybe you messed up? And how can you learn from that and go into this new year, right? And so I know I spent time reflecting on that myself because for us, we had a lot of big changes this last year. Not only with a new baby to make us a family of 5, which you guys did as well.
Yeah, right.
But also just different things, career wise and what we're trying to accomplish as a family. And then from Christy and I, as, a married couple, what are we trying to accomplish, and how are we trying to improve our relationship? So, that's where, a lot of what I want to talk about today really stems from is my personal reflection and maybe how that can help people. Because one thing that I learned a couple years ago was not necessarily New Year's resolutions, but trying to pick like a theme for yourself for the year, if that makes sense. So the best way to describe it is, it doesn't have to be something as tangible, because again, like you said, a lot of times for people when it comes to a New Year's resolution, they're like, I'm going to lose weight.
I'm not going to eat chocolate. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to the gym 4 times a week. I'm going to meet somebody new. I'm not going to go to the bars. It's like all these almost like impossible things to hold on to. Because at the end of the day, we're still just human. I mean, I don't think anybody, it's just kind of like you brought up the diet word. I don't think that's the problem with diets. There's no one thing that's going to just work. It's about self-control. Mm-hmm. It's about like not being a glutton. It really comes down to like portion control. So that everything in moderation, too much of anything's a bad thing. So, I think that's a good point.
Well, yeah. And so with things like that, it's about focusing on changing your lifestyle versus trying to find these silver bullets. I think a lot of times people try to find the silver bullet to, quick fix the issue they've been having.
You're saying like a theme. So you're talking more like, I'm going to focus on patience this year. Or confidence. Or
100%. Yeah. So like the first year I did this, for me, the theme was gratitude, but it was more of not necessarily gratitude, but it was a theme of compliments, right? So a lot of times, and I'm sure a lot of people do the same thing I do, is that somebody will maybe be dressed really nicely, or you've noticed they've lost weight right from the last time you saw it, or things like, and in your head you think, oh, like, wow, they're dressed really nice. I like their shirt, or wow, it looks like they've lost weight. And we think it, but we don't say it, right? And so there was a year where it was a couple years ago now, where I thought for me, I was like, okay, when I think of a compliment, I want to try to make the point to actually tell them, right? And so in that year, like a funny example of that is like my mother-in-law always in her kitchen for every seasonal thing, right? Whether it's the big ones like Christmas, whatever, but then also like Valentine's Day, even like St. Patrick's Day, even little holidays here and there. She always would put like little decorative towels out, right, for the little time of the year,
like hanging on the oven or something.
Yeah, and so my big thing I thought was like I always thought like, oh, that's really cool. And I'm like I should tell her, right, that I appreciate that you go through the trouble. Now again, is it much trouble to put on a decorative towel? No, but she took the time to thought. And I was like, it's really cool you do that, right? It was a very nonchalant thing, right? And she still has brought it up a couple times since I told her even she'll ask what do you think of these the new towels or whatever, right?
It's like now she goes shopping and she thinks of you, like which one's Christian gonna notice or which one may he?
Yeah, right. And it's not about you, but it's about you make them feel. You make the person feel. You
validate
special.
them.
Yeah, exactly.
In a way that they weren't even. Maybe they were looking for validation. Maybe she was looking for somebody to compliment her.
Yeah, she was looking for someone to notice the little bit, or like again when someone loses weight, I think we have trepidation because you're like, oh, you don't want to say, compliment someone for losing weight because then maybe you're
insinuating that there was a problem before.
Which, if anyone's honest, right, there was, right, for them. That's why they lost weight, right. So it's important to say like, you look really great, like you're looking really great, because then they say for them again it validates the work I'm doing, right, is being noticed by somebody, right? And that's what somebody wants, right? I mean, so, or like Christina a couple years ago, she's had this bad tendency, right, of being a people pleaser, right, and saying yes.
Sounds familiar.
And and so 1 year she said this is the year of no, right, where she was saying no to a lot of stuff, right? And at first there was a lot of pushback and things like that for her, right? But ultimately people just dealt with it, right? Because ultimately they're gonna just deal with it.
Honestly, are used to being told no. They're not used to being told no from people who don't say no,
right?
So it comes across as like this shock, like what's wrong with, you brought up your wife Christina. So what's wrong with Christina?
Yeah, like why does she want to do anything?
What's wrong with her? No? She's acting different. It's like, no, I'm finally just putting myself first, because with pleasers, they put everybody else first, and ultimately they're always last. Mm-hmm. And when they finally need to reach out to somebody, it's like, I don't know, there's not the time of day.
There's no one there. I think people pleasers, as an example, can be taken for granted a lot of times because they are, and then they find themselves overwhelmed a lot. Like, there was a lot of times I would find Christina overwhelmed because she said yes to all these things, and then she's like freaking out to me about this, that, and it's stressing her out. And I'm like, and I suggest that to her, for that theme. And again, I told her I know it's gonna be tough, but it's gonna make you feel better, right? And now, people stop asking her stuff, but now she willingly volunteers for certain things, right? So now she feels better about it, right? Because she is offering up, right, her time, her whatever, right, at 100% voluntarily, not because she feels some sort of obligation to do so, right? Yeah. So your attitude.
It's also more genuine that way. Like if someone says, "Oh, I've got to do this, and this," like, "Oh, do you need help? I could come over. I could do this." It's like It shows like a deeper sense of like sincerity, whereas before,
100%.
Someone puts you on the spot, or they ask you, and heaven forbid, they're asking you because they know you're going to say yes. You don't want to be that person,
right? And that's what it. Yeah. So one of my biggest suggestions to people is figure out something that you want to improve on this year, right? And make it a more overarching theme, right, that you can continuously work on throughout the year. Now, again, part of it is at the end of the day, to something you said, no matter what you decide to do, the name of the game is discipline. Mm-hmm. If you don't have discipline to do the thing, right, it's not going to matter, right? So at the end of the day, right, and that's where the New Year's resolution I think really hurts people because you have this false illusion, right? Yeah, like yes, it's a new year, which is true, but as if you, the person you are on January 1st of 2023 is a different person than December 31st of 2022. You're not a different person. You're the exact same person. Like, you know what I mean?
The novelty of it is nice, but the crutch about it is like, okay, so what if you fall off the horse? Are you just going to say, oh, well, I tried and I got to wait till the next January 1st,
the next
try
one.
again.
And that is how people go about it. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's where I think people really make the mistake again of not recognizing their own shortcomings as a person. And again,
well, they're using it as
that's everybody
as an excuse. Like,
yeah,
Well,
yeah, it's like, well, again, and to your point, right, the false idea of the New Year's resolution of, like you said, like, oh, well, the holidays are coming up, so, I'll start losing weight, I'll start eating better in January, right? And so they let themselves go in December, right? Are you really going to be in the mind space to be, well, now I'm going to do it. Now, starting Monday, I'm going to start eating the salad, right? And the grilled chicken.
I will say,
no,
there's a little bit of a caveat to that, because if you kind of cheat on your diet, what better time than around the holidays? And then you get back on the horse.
Well, see, that's different. Well, is the thing about that, it's funny you say it too, is because, for my wife, over the last 9 months, right, she's lost 103 pounds, right, from, working out 6 days a week, right, sometimes 7 days a week. The baby gets you up early on Sunday morning. Well, I got nothing else. She's like, well, I got nothing else better to do. Yeah, so we have our workout stuff right in the bedroom. So, so that has happened every once in a while. But, working out 6 days a week and finding a diet, I guess a more of a lifestyle, right, that she felt comfortable with, right, with going keto, right, which we weren't that far off of. It's just, again, our diet is just broken down to in the house of very basic, animal products, a few vegetables here and there that are, not high in sugar. She tracks all that kind of crap. And then just, getting rid of all the other junk outside of that as well. Like the stuff we cook with, right? Whether it's the different oils, all that kind, really, just taking awareness of what we're doing,
what
right?
You're putting in your body.
Right, exactly. And so to your point, like, she's been working hard, and during the holidays, she kind of let things go a little bit, partially because you have a lot of family get-togethers. Like, it's hard to just keep track of everything during those times.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, it's not like you're falling off the horse. It's the holidays. You're going to have a few cheat meals and then back at it. It's not like what you were saying before. It's like these people who are waiting 6 months and then say January 1st, boom, go.
Right, because then it's like, well, that's never going to happen. Right, because you're just gonna be.
If you don't enjoy yourself around the holidays, come on, have that piece of pie. Like, do something.
Right. Yeah.
You'll get serious again. Come the first.
Exactly, and so but really, again, today is today. As far as whenever you're listening, so there's no better time to start than right now on whatever it is you want to improve. But again, it's making the conscious choice to do it, and then. Putting the action behind it, right? There was this a quote I heard from something I was listening to the other day where he said, affirmations without discipline is the beginning of delusion, right? You're delusional if you're not willing to put the disciplines behind what you're trying to accomplish and what you want to do, right? Whatever that is, whether it's a career change, physicality, your relationships, right? You have to figure out a way to put in the discipline necessary to accomplish those things. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I think that's something. And what's also good is figuring out a way to have someone that you can be accountable with. And so this is going to be helpful more so for someone who's married, but I think you can do this with a friend or a family member or whoever, no matter what your situation is, is having themes or resolutions or things with your spouse, right? Things that y'all want to accomplish. Like, what do we want to do together this year? Like, what do we want to, like, for us, all right, the big one for us this year is actually buying a home, right? And so to do that, there's a lot of things we're going to need to change, right? There's going to be some things as far as financially, we're going to have to be more disciplined in.
Well,
right?
You waited it out. Now everything's kind of coming back down. So if anything, it was
so
patience is a virtue kind of thing.
Yeah, so so partially you have that, but then also it's like, okay, because like we had a conversation with actually someone last night about the lending process, all that kind of stuff, what we could do, and it gave us a good idea of what we're missing and what we need to do to get to get what we want, But that's another thing, right? Is you have to find someone that can help you stay accountable. And again, as a married person, it's much easier to do that because you can have these conversations with your spouse. And I think this is a very good idea, is to sit down, right? It doesn't have to be on New Year's Day, right? But somewhere in January, right, or December, right before the new year, is reflect on the year prior and on the year to come, right? And what y'all want to do. What is it that you want to accomplish, right? Because it's important to have goals that you're going for, right? In your life. And again, it doesn't have to be these massive things, but what is it? Whether it's paying down debts or, again, physical goals, right? You want to, you were at this weight before and you want to get back to that. What can we do together to help get there, right? Because when you have someone yoked to, with you, right, that has the same mindset, the same sort of goals, right, it's going to be a lot easier to accomplish that, right? I think a lot of people make the mistake of not getting their spouse to buy in with them. And when it comes to again, this is more with someone who's married, but, when you see couples that are struggling with one of them trying to really improve themselves and the other spouse not really being there to try to help support them, it makes it a lot more difficult.
Well, yeah, but I mean, to that, I would say if you're having problems there, you're probably having other problems in your marriage too.
That is very true.
So a good spouse is going to support you and it's going to have your back. But the beauty of spouse accountability is that they're going to tell you the hard truths that maybe a friend would be, a friend can kind of hold you accountable and be like, hey, don't drink that milkshake if you're talking about like losing weight or something. But that's maybe the extent of it. Or like, hey, did you go to the gym? But man, having a spouse like kick you out of bed like at 7:00 on a Saturday because you told her the night before that you were going to go to the gym. I mean, they're going to kick you out of bed. Like They're going to do that, which, a friend or, maybe even a girlfriend, probably wouldn't, but
would let you slide. Yeah. And and what's funny about it is that's actually what it means to love someone, because it's again, the best definition of love, I think, is from St. Thomas Aquinas, is it's simply willing the good of the other, right? And so to do that sometimes requires, like you said, uncomfortable conversations or hard truths or holding you to a certain standard because you said that's what you want. Like for me, the biggest reason why I get up in the morning and work out five times a week, I don't do
pretty
6,
good.
Is because my wife is, right? And I don't want to be, for lack of a better term,
left in the dust.
A pansy, right?
Well, not all that, but you're supporting her through her journey too.
Exactly, right? So the best way to do that is to take part, like you said, like take part in that, right? Myself, and
and you don't have to match her energy 100% because that's her goal. But you're supporting her, and you're showing support. You're supporting her and anyways.
I know what you mean.
By physically just doing it. You're not just on the sideline encouraging her, holding a sign and saying, go Christina. You're in the trenches with her, but you don't have to be there every step of the way because it's not your journey.
Right. And for me, I mean, I basically already hit my goal. I've lost 30 pounds, so I'm happy. Now, I went from, I couldn't believe it. I had been around 200 pounds, right? And I'm about 5'8", so that's a pretty heavy to be at that height. And I just accepted the fact that I guess this was just the way I was, right? Which is very silly.
That's sad.
That's how I was, right?
Yeah.
I was like, I guess it's just the way it is. And in that time, like I said, I lost 30 pounds. I've like dropped like three pant sizes and stuff. Yeah. And so it's like, again, in supporting her, right, and taking part in the journey, I've gotten to a place that I thought I just wouldn't be. I just excel. It just won't happen, right? But I'm here, right? And so now for me, I'm like, well, shoot, right? At the peak of where I was, like when I was an athlete in high school, I was at like 165 pounds, right? So I'm like almost there, which is just it is wild to me, And so part of me is like, well, man, I want to get back to that, right? Because I mean, it's not that far off, right? And so
it's awesome.
But it was just it was because of that and then also it's bringing the kids into that, because also our kids have watched us do that, and so
it's about what you're teaching them and the values that they're seeing, and it's giving them, what's the word? I don't know, that structure, that commitment You know what I mean? Like they can see that if, mom and dad, they're not just homebodies who's on the couch and we watch TV and have popcorn and like this is what normal people can do, and they grow up with that mentality and that state of mind. And I don't know, you're kind of framing their mentality at an early age.
Well, they see that when they see the what happens when someone is disciplined in doing those things and dedicated, that the change is there. Like kids are very funny, but like and as the saying goes, out of the mouth of babes, right? The truth comes out. Right?
Oh yeah, they'll be honest with you.
And because like Christina was like doing one day, she was like pointing and doing something, and Eli was like Mama, like your arm like doesn't move anymore, right? And she was like, wow, like he's like, she's right, like it is.
Even the kids,
they notice. Again, they notice everything, right? This is why when it comes to kids, everything you do is so important because they're watching everything that you do all the time. That's why kids suck sometimes because they watch everything you do all the time.
Yeah, it's true. They are funny sometimes too, and I do actually have a kids quote from today. You want to hear it?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We talked about this. But this is you said Titus.
Yeah.
Right?
So I was having truck issues, so I dropped it off at the dealership and I picked up the wife's car. So since she didn't have a ride, I picked the kid up. When I picked him up, he had library day today, and at library day he picked up a owl book.
An owl book, okay.
So I'm trying to drive, obviously, and he's showing me this owl book, and he's like all excited. And then out of nowhere, I'm almost home at this point. We haven't been talking about the book for a few minutes, but I guess he's kind of low-key obsessed with owls now. Okay. So he goes, when I grow up, I'm going to have a girlfriend, and I'm going to have a pet owl. And I turn around, I'm like, you're going to have a pet owl? And he goes, yes, when I have a girlfriend. And I said, what if she doesn't like owls? And he goes, oh, she's going to love them. And we're going to keep it in like a container or something. And then he kind of like trailed off saying like other stuffs about the whole owl and how it's going to work. But it was just pretty funny because like, I'm like, he said 2 parts to it. And all I did was acknowledge that, oh, you're going to have a pet owl. And he's like, when I have a girlfriend.
Yeah.
It's like they go hand in hand.
It's funny. But again, it's funny how they get this sort of tunnel vision of what they, when they have that. That's funny. Cause like for, Eli, it's funny you said because we like for him right now. So we had gotten him a new pair of Santa had gotten him a new pair of cowboy boots and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, I really should have gotten him like little Spurs, like little revolver, like little play pistols, whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm like, man, Santa kind of missed the mark on that one. So a few days later. Or the day of, I like ordered it off Amazon, right? I'm like, I gotta get this kid.
Yeah, when Amazon was suddenly like next day again, but it was only like 2 days after Christmas, and suddenly it's like you can get everything next day.
Yeah. Thanks, Amazon. So I got it though, and I said, and this was, I was like, hey, I want to get you something, whatever. And it was like $15, right? Like 2 little little revolvers, right? Mm-hmm. Little snap guns, right? That like snap when you trigger.
Not the little gunpowdered ones, are they?
No, not the gunpowdered ones. Just like the normal. Okay. They just like snap or whatever. Although those are awesome. I used to have one of those.
Cap guns.
Yeah, those little caps. Yeah, those are.
They
awesome.
like smoke a little bit. I love that smoke.
Yeah, you're like, oh yeah, a cowboy man.
Got him.
Yeah. So every day. So this thing came with like a little badge, right? A little sheriff badge. Okay.
Did it come with like a holster?
Bandana, 2 holsters, right, and a play belt, but the belt was crappy, so he just uses his normal belt. Every single day, this kid is wearing these things.
And the cowboy boots.
And the cowboy boots and his cowboy hat. Around the house, every day, all the time. Like, he asks, can I put him on? Can I put him on? Can I put him on? Right? He is a cowboy right now. And for me, I love it. It's fantastic.
What you got to do is you got to put on his hat and you go, hey, I'm Woody. Howdy.
Yeah. Or he says, there's a snake in my boot.
Does he? Nice.
Or he says, what's the
That's
other?
like a parenting win.
Reach for reach for the sky. I'm like, God, I love this kid. But yeah, it's a parenting.
So now for Halloween, if he sticks with it, he's got to be Woody.
Well, actually, so one of the big things we did, which I hope turns into a little Christmas tradition, is we have Paramount Plus, and Top Gun Maverick is on Paramount Plus. So we watched it Number one, Christina loved it, so it's a good movie.
Was that her first time seeing it?
Yeah. She was like, oh, yeah, this is a great movie. I'm like, it is. It's actually a masterpiece. It's a modern-day masterpiece. It was the best movie of 2022. Do what?
I said it was a work of art.
It really was. I mean, Top Gun Maverick is the best movie that's come out in the last 15, 20 years. But for Halloween, Eli and I are going to do Maverick and Goose. He's going to be Maverick. I'm going to be Goose.
You're Goose?
Oh, yeah. Mustache.
You mean Rooster?
No, Goose. It'll be his dad. Yeah. It'll be Maverick and Goose.
So the OGs.
Yeah, the OGs, yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, he's all about it.
Has he seen the original though yet?
Oh yeah, he loves the original Top Gun. Okay. Yeah, oh yeah. We've seen both. He loves Top Gun Maverick though because I took him to the movie theater to see that. So he loves it. He's like, I could watch it all the time.
Yeah, I don't think my son's seen it all the way through yet.
It's so good. I mean, just that opening scene in that test plane is just.
Yeah, when it blew off the guard shack roof.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't part of the script.
Yeah, I think that that actually just was something that just happened when they were filming.
And they just kept it in.
Yeah, it's just
it's a good movie.
Yeah, brilliant. Really anyway, I don't want to turn this into the Top Gun.
Again, I think we've talked about it on the show 4 or 5 times.
A couple times because it's a great movie. It's a fantastic movie. I could watch it all the time. The other night, Christina was like, she was doing something, I can't remember what she was doing, but I'm like, I'm just gonna turn on. There's a particular scene in the movie that I really like, so I just turned on that scene. She's like, have you been watching the movie? I'm like, no, I just want to watch the scene.
Yeah, that's what I do. That's my movie of choice whenever if I'm ready before church and we're just waiting on the girls to do their hair, their makeup or whatever. Or we're trying to get out the door and I'm tired of waiting for people. I come to my office here and turn on Maverick.
Yeah, because it's a perfect movie.
And that's usually when my son walks in and he just plops down and just starts watching it. So he likes it. He's just never seen it all the way through. Yeah. It's only when he catches it with me.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so anyway, so that's what we're going to do for Halloween.
Nice.
So it's going to be, it's to be awesome. I'm excited. It's going to be awesome. So, but, what were we even talking about? I'm totally off track.
You were talking about spouse accountability and.
Oh, right. Yeah. So when it comes to kids, right? Because we were talking about kids. Yeah, they're upset. So, but also, with that being said, especially when you're talking about kids, trying to bring your kids into it as well. The way our kids are part of kind of, I guess, the workout lifestyle or kind of weight loss journey that Christina's on is the last several Saturdays. We've actually done family walks, right, at a park. I can't remember which park. Oh, it's off of Cypress Wood or whatever. We would walk the trails, right? We would go walk the trail, right? It takes about 45-ish minutes or so.
Yeah.
Right. And then we just come back, and then there's a couple of jungle gyms, right? And the kids just pick which one they want to go to, and we sit there for a little bit. And it's been so nice because for Christina and I, we can walk and just have just good time of just conversing, right? Just talking about stuff and talking about what's going on, because I think a lot of people don't even realize, because life is so busy, that you can miss things going on, right, at home or with your spouse that you don't even realize, but you don't really spend time with your spouse, right? You don't spend time talking to them, right? And this isn't
going through the motions. It's okay, I'll take dinner, you do this, and it's you're going through the motions, almost like roommates, almost like you're 2 gears in a well-oiled machine, but you almost, walk right past each other like ghosts in a hall. You know what I mean? You get so caught up in the day-to-day minutia that. Taking those strolls really gives you time to calm down because y'all can decompress from whatever's happened in your day, and then gives you time to communicate too, especially once you've walked and you kind of get those endorphins going and everything else that you've released, and then the kids go play. Then you have that quiet time with your wife too.
Right, and I mean that's been great. And again, I think that can be anything for anyone. Maybe you don't have a place where you can go walk. Maybe you could sit out if you're in an apartment. You could sit in your balcony with your spouse or significant other. Have a cup of coffee or tea or whatever you do, right? Just like you said, finding that time because, like I said, I mean, again, sorry, for people that are not married, but you definitely feel this when you're married. Is you have to be so intentional with your marriage in every aspect all the time.
Marriage is work.
It is
every damn day. It's hard.
Yeah, It is. And
I mean, it's so rewarding, like more than anything, any relationship you've ever had or any type of commitment level before or previous. But like once you make that step, I mean, marriage is, I mean, I wish I would have did it sooner. Like it's the greatest and the worst all at the same time.
Well, I think what it is that, again, like you said, it is a lot of work, you know, and it's something that you have to continuously be intentional.
What was that quote you said earlier? It was like living for the good of the other or something.
Right. Yeah. Well, love is willing the good of the other. Right. And so it's you know, and the way I put that practically is just, you know, trying to do your best to
improve the other person.
Right. Yeah.
The only thing you would hope out of picking a good spouse is that is returned and reciprocated. If you're giving all of what you have, or 90%, I would like to say keep 10% for yourself to the other person, they're giving you their 90 and, you know, keeping 10 for themselves.
Well, I think, you know, what it goes to is, you know, there's that saying that, you know, marriage is 50-50 and it's not actually. I mean, marriage is 100-100, and sometimes you're going to give more than 100% because your spouse, for whatever reason, can't in the moment, right? Sometimes you're given, you know, 120% because they can only give 80, or sometimes you got 200% for a period of time, right? Because life comes with challenges and life comes with burdens, and that's why it's very imperative when to find someone who is willing to go on the journey of life with you, because it is going to be full of challenges. It's going to be full of heartbreak. It's going to be full of tragedy, because that is life for all of us. All of us are going to face, whether you're rich or poor, multiple trials and tribulations in your life. And the best way to get through those is to have someone that is going to have your back all the time, right? And that's why one of the most important things I know for us, I think, over myself in talking about using this platform, though however small it may be, and if we're blessed for it to grow, awesome. But one of the biggest things to talk about is, again, a major focus on the importance of marriage, right? I mean, the reality is that one of the greatest ways that our culture, our society will heal itself is to bring back the importance of marriage, the traditional marriage, right, of a man and a woman, and strengthening those and strengthening people and showing them why being married is actually a good thing. Being married is actually important, and it is going to be the greatest thing that helps you, right, through the inevitable heartache and challenges that life will bring you, period. Because it's true. You know, I mean, there's countless things that are going to happen in your life, deaths that are going to happen of people that you care about. And the question is, do you want to face those alone, or do you want to face those with someone that's going to help you?
Yeah, because not only are they a rock, like you're putting it, they're your anchor, they're your lightning rod, your foundation. There's a lot of, you know, terms you can use to describe the same thing, but, you know, they're kind of your guiding force. But more importantly than that, and you just said it there at the end that I was going to add, is who wants to do this thing by themselves? You know? Yeah, I mean, I can be a loner. I mean, I can do things on my own. I can go weeks at a time without really dealing with another person, and there's kind of like, but at the end of that, it's nice to come out of those phases to have somebody. And I'm not single anymore. I don't do that. You know, where you just kind of drop off the grid, you know, and you're like, I'm gonna go. I wish I never had this flexibility, but can you imagine just like as a dude, load up in your Jeep or whatever with your dog, and you're like, we're gonna drive up to Colorado. You know, we're gonna be bouncing around there for a couple of days and come back. No cell phone, no talking to the people unless it was like an emergency. But that's that lifestyle, and I could definitely be that kind of isolationist. But I'll tell you what, you know, having my wife, having that safety net, that, I don't know, that friend. I mean, I can't imagine doing half of what I've had to go through and the trials, you know, that life has thrown at me by myself.
Right. And, you know, so that's where, you know, I think the biggest thing, and we've talked about this before, is with so many people, you know, the biggest thing that they're struggling with, they may not put it to words, is or put it to these words exactly.
What are you talking about? Like the commitment of marriage or what?
No, I think, people just lack purpose, right? If they talk about, the things that's going on with them. And, marriage is a key institution that can help you find your purpose, in certain ways.
I'd also like to add that that's not a solution though either.
No.
Some people think, well, I'm just get married and that'll fix all my problems. It's not.
No, it will not. It will actually create a lot more problems for you because it involves another person. But what it can do is help you become the best version of yourself that you can be. And then especially if you add children into that, it can do that, right? And again, it is not a magical
can bring,
button.
Like fulfillment.
Yeah.
In life. It's not going to fix your problems though.
No.
It's like when people think, oh, our marriage is failing. Let's have a kid. Let's see if that fixes things. It's like, if you can't make it work, just you and her, like, don't throw kids in it. Kids aren't going to be your golden goose.
Yeah. Not only that, the reality is that once you bring a child into that relationship, you to then end it because it didn't work is the biggest disservice you can have to that child, and you owe it to them, right, to be a mother and a father that are committed to each other to raise this child, right? And I know that's not a popular thing to say.
Not right now. Well, it goes back to what you're saying about just your kids and the impression you're giving them by seeing that mom and dad work out together. They get up, they work hard, they do all this. Like, what impression are you setting for your kids? What example are you leading by? Especially if they grew up knowing that mom and dad gave up as easily as they did and they couldn't work through it, then what precedents are you setting for them in their future?
100%.
They're going to run into the first little bit of, rocky road, and they're going to be like, oh, well, school's too hard. I'm done with that. I'm going to do this. Maybe I'll be an actor. And they go out to LA and like, oh, I didn't pan out. Mom and dad need some more money. I'm going to do this now. Like, you don't want to have that offspring. You want to have somebody who, they see the dedication mom and dad with working out, and they're like, no matter what I put my mind to, I'm going to do it.
Right. And that's a big thing too, is setting that example and that precedence for them. Because, a lot of times, right, people will tell their kids, that, yeah, you can do anything you put your mind to, which is true. But when they see that you do things and then give up on them again, like, they're going to take that and say, well, maybe that's not true.
Yeah. One of my biggest, what word I hate is ick. Everybody's talking about icks. Like, oh, what's your ick? The word ick is an ick for me, but what I was going to say is one thing
I've heard people saying that.
Like, what's the word that I'm thinking? It's like an ick. It's like a turn off, like something that really
like
grinds your gears.
Pet peeve.
Yes, pet peeve. That's the word. Us, we're not millennials. What are we? Gen Z.
We're millennials.
Are we?
Yes, we're millennials.
See, that's how little I care about it. But we used to use the word pet peeve. We didn't have to come up with one called ick. But I hate hypocrisy. I hate hypocrites. Like, to your point, like, if you're gonna talk is cheap. It's one thing to say it. Lead by example. I mean, like you said, the kids are sponges. They may hear what you're saying, but more importantly, they're watching what you do.
Yeah, and they're watching you more than listening to you.
Yes.
And 100%. I know that because they don't listen. So
they only pick up and repeat the bad things.
Yeah.
Like at their birthday parties and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh. But yeah, so 2023 people.
Yeah.
It's going to be different, but not really. You can make a difference in your household. And I think that's the point we've been driving home. But the world, I don't think, is really going to get much better.
Here's the thing, right? People get too obsessed of trying to change. Are they too set up and full of themselves and trying to have these lofty goals of changing the world, right? When, again, that all starts with you, right? If you change, that'll change your friends and family around you, which will then change your community, change, and so on and so forth. Change starts with yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Be the change. It's a cheesy thing, but who said this? I think, I can't remember who said this, but they said, be the change that you want to see, right? Whatever that is, and that's in anything in life. You need to be the one that is going to say, make the point of why these things are important, right? Whether it's, spiritually, relationally. I don't think that's a word.
It is
now. Politically, whatever it is, right? If you want something to change, all the lees. You have to be the person responsible for making that change, right? And
don't wait for shit to happen.
You're gonna be waiting for a long time. But then also, if you aren't willing to make the change for it, maybe it actually isn't that important to you, and that's okay, right? That's not a reflection necessarily on your character, but it is something to consider about things, because people, again, talk is cheap.
Yeah.
Right. Talk is very cheap. Okay. It's the actions behind.
Just look
at
all
words.
The politicians. Very cheap.
It's cheap.
Except for their suits.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's
which
cheap
I think we paid
suits.
for. So it's cool. But we're not getting into that right now.
I hate everything. That's why
we're like
you need to worry about yourself and changing your life personally.
Can we talk about a few things? We are 5 days as of this recording into the new year. Mm-hmm. And I was on TikTok like 2 nights ago. Mm-hmm. And it was like 3 things after another. Not political, mind you. We're not doing that. But I was scrolling and it was like 10 o'clock at night. And I saw that a bus and a car collided in a car tunnel in South Korea. And the whole tunnel caught on fire. So it's an underground tunnel for cars.
Wow.
So there's all kinds of cell phone footage because it's South Korea and technology is pretty much born there. And they're recording it all. And it's just this entire underground tunnel that's got like city and stuff above it that's like engulfed in flames. So it's pretty crazy. So it's like,
wow.
I don't know the exact number of people. I think it was at least a dozen or so casualties at the time when I saw it. I haven't looked up since. And then I scrolled 1 or 2 past that. And it was another one about the bridge or the tunnel. And then it was about the 2 helicopters at SeaWorld in Australia. Did you see that?
Nope.
So it was for sightseeing tours, for helicopter tours in like Sydney, Australia at the SeaWorld. And one was landing and one was taking off. One just, a family of 4 just got in the one taking off. And the 2 helicopters collided.
Ugh.
And all of those people like died right there. And that was recorded. And then I scroll 1 or 2 more. And it was in such a quick succession that I actually stopped. I was kind of like dumbfounded, and I showed my wife, and I'm like, I scrolled back, I'm like 3 things like within like 6 slides right here. I just saw that Ken Block had died. And I don't think you know who Ken Block is, do you?
I saw the story, but I don't know who he is, but I saw it.
So he was a big influence on me. He's a rally driver. He's been doing the Hoonigan Monster Powered Gymkhana videos for years. I've been watching since high school. And he just came out with his new electric one that he partnered up with Audi and did it like not even a month ago. And he just perished in a snowmobiling accident. And then Jeremy Renner, like New Year's Day.
Yeah, like his leg got eaten by his snowplow.
Pretty much. Something like, I didn't hear that part. I heard he was like deeply wounded, but he's in like ICU because he was trying to help a stuck family that was in his own snowplow like rolled over him or something. So he was trying to help people who were stuck. So, I mean, this is crazy. New year already.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
So I think, from that, there's a couple of things you take for that. Number one, right, we weren't meant to be able to know about all these things at one time. So maybe you should try to take a break from social media a little bit, right?
That's a lot.
Idea.
I mean, especially if everyone wants to focus on mental health. Like this whole last year and a half, I feel like coming out of COVID, everybody was preaching mental health and the importance of it. Turn off and hang out. Or what's the word? Like hang up and hang out. Like get some real social interaction because that stuff's bad for you.
Like, and you know what's funny?
I need to at least. Maybe that's my New Year's resolution.
Well, I think
less screen time.
Or your theme, right? Your theme for the year could be, less screen time, right? And but you have to tell your wife about it, right?
Maybe I'll work on patience.
So, but you know what's funny about it? And I heard this, when you're having fun somewhere, you don't video it because you're in the moment, right? When you see these, people's Instagram videos, everything, they're videoing, they're at something, whatever, to show the people that are following them, look at the great time I'm having. Right?
Yeah.
And I even recognize this. There's been times where I've thought, oh, I'll video this or take a picture of this when I'm doing something at somewhere. But I forget because I'm so into what's happening that I'm like, oh, I forgot. But who cares?
Yeah, I don't think I've posted to Facebook in a year or two.
Yeah.
Instagram, other than maybe for the pod and helping you out with that, or like a post. I don't think that really counts. I treat that more as like a hobby or business almost.
Yeah, exactly.
But personally, socially, I don't post. I think the last couple of posts to Insta that I did was for like an anniversary or shout out to like my wife for her last birthday. But since then I've stopped all that. You know, I focus in the moment, like you're saying. I may take pictures of my kids for me to use or to post in print for photo albums, things like that. But I don't post. Nobody needs to see my kids. If you want to know how my kids are doing, pick up the phone, call, come visit. Because, you know, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, you know. And, you know, I heard that. I'm like, you know, it's right. It's right. And, you know, so I think for everybody, I think not only us, but anyone listening, everything is, well, besides you should take
definitely
time
keep
to
watching
watch this.
Like, subscribe.
Because, I mean, there is nothing better you can find on YouTube. There is no better content. Not a single thing on YouTube is better than what we do.
And the theme for Christian's New Year resolution is honesty.
Humility.
That's good.
But it, like, pull yourself away, and this is a big one for me, is pull yourself away from your electronics, from your phone, right? There's so much a part of our life, right? You know, you got to detach. My wife's very good at keeping me accountable for that because she's never really been big on phone usage, right? And I'm the exact opposite, right? So she really has even a lot of times call me out on when I'm, you know, on my phone. She's like, you know, hello, like, are you gonna like talk to me? And I'm like,
that's my wife.
You know, and
sitting down at the dinner table, if I'm out,
and people can, and there's two things you could do with that, right? And I'm, you know, we're not the only two. Yeah, there's people all over the place that deal with that. You can either get annoyed by them saying that, or you can take a second and say, is what I'm doing really more important than this moment I'm having with my family? And the honest answer is no, right?
Right.
And, you know, especially with having, you know, we were talking about this also before we went on, is that, you know, my son is going to be a year old already in March.
That's crazy.
Right. You know, and for me, it was like he was just born yesterday. But that time is already gone. That first year is already almost over.
That just means for your other two, it's speeding up.
Yes, it's getting faster and faster, right? You know,
I mean, that's to your point. I mean, that's the more you miss by being on your phone, the faster it goes.
Right, and so it really is every moment that you're on your phone, you're missing a moments in your life. Now, granted, again. Am I saying you have to, you know, throw your phone in the trash and go back to a flip phone? But no, I'm not saying you have to do those things. I'm not saying you have to quit social media.
But that's being dramatic, like with the rest of those resolutions.
Yeah, I'm not saying you have to do this, but make a conscious effort.
Yeah. Just
to do it less, right? What's really great and what I appreciate actually is at the end of every week for the iPhone, right? It tells you your percentage of your screen usage based on the week prior. They'll say it's up this percentage or it's down this percentage, right? And anytime it goes up, right, I immediately think that was a bad week for me. Right? That was a bad week for me because I was too busy on my phone and not paying attention to my work.
That's why you don't open the TikToks I send you. You're like worried about that screen time.
Well, to the point where the last week, when it comes to when I'm kind of when I'm into my office's work time, I turn my do not disturb on and I don't see anything, right? Except for what's funny is actually the only people that can get through my do not disturb is my wife, my mom, my sales manager, and you actually. So
we made the cut.
Yeah.
Guys.
So those are the 4 text messages or calls that I do see that actually get notified during the day. Everything else, I get 0 notification of it. It's like it doesn't happen. right?
Otherwise, you don't get work done.
No, I don't.
I
don't.
Really bad, especially when I was burned out at work. This last quarter of the year, I mean, going and going and going, like with all the issues that I was facing at work as a construction manager with material issues, you can't get this, and suddenly that's back in stock, but this is out and back ordered for months. It's discouraging. I would escape to my phone, and when things even started getting back to normal, I was so used to just being kind of that your work ethic's kind of not the same. I mean, I don't want to say I was burned out, but I mean, just getting back on that horse. And now I may get on my phone a little bit during lunch at work. Other than that, it's like the amount of stuff that I get done during the day now because I don't know, just more efficient.
Right. And so that's something for me is that it's like for better performance for myself at work, more attentive with my family. It's that intentional thing for me now. And again, that's something that probably everybody listening or watching can do better because, again, our cell phones are just such a big part of our life now that it's absorbed us, right? I mean, I think of, these teenagers now, Gen Z, we make fun of them a lot, but they've grown into this world where they have all these things right away on the most like, advanced
I'm about to say technologically advanced thing.
Yeah.
Ever.
Like
more sophistication here than the first, like,
I couldn't imagine being
space shuttles.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine being handed this crap at 13 years old and coming out normal.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't. Nobody would. And that's why they are.
That makes me worried for my kids. I mean, I think it's a blessing at most of the time, but they each have like a little tablet, and if we go out to dinner, then while we're waiting or whatever, we pick and choose when, like, they're not allowed to obviously have it when we're having like family dinner and thing like that. But other than that, it's super convenient. We're in the car, but it kind of makes you worried, because they're getting at such an early age. I mean, we grew up in the generation where we started having like Game Boy Colors and things like that. So I can't really.
We thought that was a big deal.
I turned out okay. My parents knew when it was like, okay, put it out, look out the window for a little bit. Things like, because they were the generation that grew up looking out the window or playing cards in the car, a little bit more interaction.
Well, because
they didn't have Game Boys, but.
Well, what's funny was being bored and someone who was saying this? I think it was at a sermon at
Talking
church.
About boredom?
Yeah. And
we get bored so easily now.
Well, what's funny, we get bored easily, but then we have a much easier way to distract ourselves with our phone. And this person was like, it's a shame because some of the greatest ideas you'll have in your life will come from moments when you're bored. Because when you're bored, you just start thinking
and your mind wanders.
and thinking, right? You start thinking about this or that or this or that. And all of a sudden you're like, wow, I never thought about that. That's amazing. And you said, you just go down this rabbit hole, right? So,
well, because it's that overstimulation.
Right. You're not allowing yourself to get
bored. It's not just constant, it's overstimulation. So you look for that dopamine drip by getting back on your phone. It's like you recognize this lull of silence or where there's something not going on and you feel like you have to fill that void
with something.
And that's a huge problem for me.
Me too.
I mean, even if we're like at the in-laws or something and there's something that's just not interesting to me, I'll go sit down and chill and I'll get on my phone in the presence of other company. Now, granted, I'm been part of the family for so long. If I want to go chill, it's not like I'm like some boyfriend courting my wife and I'm like being antisocial. But no. But yeah, I think that is going to be the theme for me is what you were getting at. And I think that's going to be like meditation. It's something that I've never done. I mean, I think it's separately than just prayer alone. I mean, you can have prayer, but then like self-reflection, like meditation, just finding a quiet space and letting your mind go blank and letting your body recognize that like that's okay. Because I feel like humanity as a whole, we're losing that.
Yeah. No, 100%.
All because of tech.
Yeah, 100%. And like you said, you're absolutely right. Your prayer and meditation are two different things, and I think it's important. Obviously, I think prayers are important, but just taking that time where, like you said, whether it's even in your closet or you could even say in the shower, it could be anywhere where you just take some time, you just close your eyes, and like you said, just let yourself just be for a second, it's like just take a second, just effing chill out, like
let it go.
Yeah, like just.
Elsa all the way, man.
You're the worst.
Did you miss that phase of childhood?
What?
With your kids watching Frozen? Because mine were obsessed.
My daughter has an Elsa water bottle.
Oh,
she has an Elsa dress.
Oh, yeah. So you're in deep too.
How can we not? right? I mean, it's.
Can we start talking about? I think Disney needs to have the option to be able to omit certain shows. You know what I mean? Like with other programming, you can pick and choose what content can be there.
Disney has a lot of issues.
It's with Disney, it's like all or nothing.
And the all is not very great right now.
Yeah,
funny
we'll see what 2023 has to offer for Disney.
Hopefully not shit. That goes for everything. So, yeah. So
yeah, on that note.
On that note, I think I think we've made our point pretty clear. As far as hopefully, anyone listening was listening now or will listen, will be able to take something from this and make your life better. Because ultimately, obviously, we talk about political stuff, different things, but ultimately, I hope that our show you can take things from it that can improve your life in some form or fashion.
Apply it to you. I mean, we joke, we talk about current topics, but ultimately, this is a family-oriented show where we try to instill certain values and the counterculture. That's
right. So on that note, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, click the subscribe button down below. Make sure you also do the like button. Click the notification bell as well. You could also find us on Apple and Spotify. I didn't say at the beginning, but I'll say now. If you prefer to listen, you can find us on Apple and Spotify. And again, we will be off next week because he's going to California for a wedding. Yes. Of a listener. Sometimes listener. He's a friend. Yeah. Anyway, he's a friend. So he's going to his wedding. I assume you're a groomsman, I assume, yeah?
He's not doing a wedding party.
Okay, so it's just them two. Okay, cool.
It's very small. As it is, I think...
it's a small, intimate...
I was trying to see what I could say, not say, but yeah.
It's small, intimate.
I think it's 50 people total.
Excellent. Well, that's
crazy small.
Hey,
you've pissed some people off if you've only got 50 people.
At the end of the day, your wedding is about you two and the covenant you're about to take part in, not.
Yeah.
Anyway,
my wife would disagree, but looking back, I would have rather taken that money and put it towards mine and her experience on like some 2-week honeymoon or something than the wedding we had. I feel like the wedding, that ceremony, and more to the reception, because the ceremony is at the church. I mean, that's pretty much how it is, but was more for everybody else.
Yes.
It was a blur. We were being drugged around. Say hi to this, smile for this camera to hear. Oh, he eat within like 5 minutes. Okay, now you got to go dance. So I'm kind of happy for my friend with the kind of ceremony and small intimate thing because he can give that attention to more people.
Yeah.
And then he's going to Bora Bora for like 2 weeks. So he's doing.
There you go.
He's doing it the right way.
So we'll be off next week, but then we'll come back and we will have a guest. I'm hoping Carla. We'll see. I got to talk to her. We will have a guest on with us to help start off this new year. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will catch you